Good evening, everybody. It is Friday night here, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday the 13th, April 13th. Thought I would do a video tonight rather than waiting for the weekend because I had a couple things on my mind. And for some reason, I've had conversations with traders over the past, I think it's 5 consecutive Fridays. Friday seemed to bring out the best and the worst in traders. The conversations have been all over the map, but a couple of times I've just given out my phone number because I've sensed frustration with folks. And I'm not going to talk about the room a whole lot tonight. That is what it is. But I want to talk more so and maybe just reach out to the community in general and just, reinforce the fact that this is not an easy game, meaning that it can be simple, but it's not easy. And there's a number of factors. I'm going to state the ridiculously obvious here, and I apologize for that. But there are a number of factors that I see in today's environment that I think is contributing to a lot of this. And so one of those things is that we have information overload. The beauty of technology, the beauty of the internet is that it has opened up access to a lot of people in terms of market participation that we didn't have in the past. And obviously the internet is a tremendous communication tool. So it's brought the world together. It's brought access, open access to the markets, all that kind of stuff. At the same time, it has introduced a completely new level of complexity and tremendous variables in the market where we're struggling with information overload potentially. There are a lot of different ways to trade profitably in this business. Different styles. We've talked in the past about a blank canvas. Many different ways. And so long as the aggregation of your trade sequences reflect your cost being lower than your selling price, you're going to be able to run a profitable business. And there are many ways to do that. So the question becomes, how do you do it? There's so much noise out there. There's so much in the industry. There's, subscriptions of varying kinds, varying indicators, varying broker platforms, varying styles, trend following, range following, breakouts, momentum indicators, trend indicators, volume profile, market profile, which is more time of day versus just pure volume. There's so many things to choose from. Even the things that I've shared and will be sharing going forward in terms of bias and all that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of noise out there. And it's important for us to be able to cut through all of that. And I see a lot of traders, and I can fall into this trap myself. I see a lot of traders struggling with so much information, so much noise, that maybe it's just good for us to take a collective breath, including all the stuff that we've got going on at our end, take a collective breath and just ask ourselves, what is the market doing? And am I aligned with it? Am I in rhythm with it? ES, we talked about this last week. The rhythm of ES is so herky-jerky right now if you're following it tick by tick or 1 or 2 or 3 minute charts, because what's happening today afternoon is a great example, right? Market goes down 4 points, goes up 6, goes down 8, goes up 7, goes down 12. It just is what it is. And so we've got to use tools. We've got to find ways to cut through the noise. And so we certainly do try to do that with the biases and the colors. And I'm a very visual person, and that helps me. Yet there are situations and times where there's so many ways to make money or lose money off of that same sequence. So some people are going long, some people are going short, and there's profit opportunity both ways. But the mind gets so confused. So you have this information overload with the internet, this information overload and multiple variable in terms of process and methodology. And then you've got the noise if you're with a group of everybody doing different things, even if they're kind of all following the same thing. And so what happens at the end of the day, end of a week, you're kind of in a tizzy, and you look back at the market charts and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I mean, I get it, I saw that. But you look at your P&L and you drew down, right? It's happened to me, right? I visit that neighborhood from time to time. So what we have to do, step back, simplify, okay? You're not going crazy, okay? Try to separate all the noise, right? A good time to do it, Friday night and the weekend. And ask yourself what you can do to help eliminate some of that noise. Right? There are a lot of great networks out there, a lot of great sites. We've talked about this before. Great intentions, great instructors, wonderful thing. Ultimately, you've got to take accountability for yourself, and you've got to get yourself in a rhythm that has a number of constants. You've got to minimize the variables. When I do the room and when I do my teaching, I stipulate right off the bat where I tell everybody, look, I consider you all to be very smart people. I respect and love all of you. We'll get that on the table. We'll stipulate to that. Having said that, I can't have you telling me what you look at or what you see, because what that will do is that will introduce a variable into my trading that will make my methodology and my personal system less constant. And once you start introducing those variables, then what I have control over and how I pull money out of the markets will no longer be valid. It's very much like Seve Ballesteros, if you've ever followed golf, God rest his soul, where he used to be a very intuitive, artistic swinger in terms of his golf game, where when people started telling him that he should tweak this, this, and this, and this, and become more mechanical and make his game even better, it ruined his game. He was never really the same golfer that he once was, because he introduced variables beyond that which worked for him. So I guess my point tonight is to do what you can to minimize the noise and keep certain things constant, right? That may mean removing a whole bunch of screens from your desktop. That may mean pulling yourself out of a collective for the time being. That may mean aligning yourself with a collective that is simple or not. It may be different for each one of us, but find a way to back away from the market and separate the noise. Okay, the market right now is in a rhythm where, if you're following S&Ps again or NASDAQ, and especially if you're looking at the dome, if you're locked in the dome, it is so very difficult to separate what is really happening, the larger picture, from what you're seeing in the minutia, because the minutia will just drive you crazy. It drives me crazy. Okay. Another point I wanted to make tonight is again, don't be too hard on yourself. If you're not trading well, if you had a bad day, if you had a bad week, I apologize for the phone ringing. Just know that we've all been there. I've shared this story with a few people that early in my career, this was like 25 years ago, I had an awful Friday. Awful Friday. I was shorting the market all the way up in a bull market, right up until the close before I said uncle. Right, I lost. I think it was about $70,000 that day in real capital, early in my career. And I felt, how did I feel? I mean, sick to my stomach, awful, you name it. And so what I did is I reached out to a trader who I knew and who I respected. And so he talked to me, and he asked me, Don, do you know what you did wrong? And I said, well, yeah. In hindsight, I can list 3 or 4 things I did wrong. And he said, well, that's good. Because if you didn't know, that's another issue. But he says, I want you to do this. I want you to write the things down on a piece of paper that you did wrong today. You write them down. He says, I want you to stick that note in your pocket. This was a Friday night. I was already feeling awful. He said, I want you to think about that note all weekend long. He says, you're going to have the worst weekend of your life. And he said, I'm not going to promise you'll never do it again. But come Monday, the chances that you'll ever do it again are practically zero. And I did that. I shared this story with another trader tonight. And I've told this story to many of you over the past. I apologize for any redundancy. I did that. I had an awful weekend. To this day, I've never repeated that. I've never repeated it. turning pain into gain. I don't want to. I don't want to be corny with the process. But number one is, can you identify what you did wrong? Because if you can't, then you've got to take yourself back another step or two. If you can, then you can fix it. You can fix it. And I was telling that to somebody tonight. It can be fixed. So think about that. Look at your trading this week. I sense a great deal of frustration with traders, a great deal of frustration in the markets. Our good friend Dr. Brett has referenced that on his blog recently. A lot of noise out there, and it can drive all of us crazy. You can actually get to the end of a day or a week where you think you really have read the market right, but you were hesitating just that one step enough where you were unprofitable. And there is that razor-thin line that I talked about that separates mediocrity and losing and scratching. Razor-thin line between that and the group of traders who can be consistently successful and who are successful. The other thing is that, remember, trading is about windows of opportunity. Windows over the course of a day, week, month, in terms of pattern opportunity, and windows in your own life where there's opportunity. Windows where you are in rhythm, where you are committed and you are focused and you are energized. Those windows will not always be there, or they will open and close from time to time. Know where you are in that window of your life. If it's closed, back off, right? If it's open, push it. Push it, just like you would in a trade. View your life as a trading chart. Where are you? Are you in a consolidation mode? Are you in a breakout mode? Do you have momentum behind you? Are you fighting the trend, right? Those are all attributes that you can take a look at yourself and use this weekend to do that. Where are you in your trading? Where do you fit in, and how can you take action to break out of that? Okay. Again, for those interested, I thank all of you for putting your trust in me in the coming days. But more importantly, tonight anyway, I want to leave you with a thought that this business is very doable. It can frustrate us. It can challenge us at times. We still have to be on our game. We have to be better than the best. We are dealing with the smartest, the most computerized algos out there, but it is doable. Simplify, get rid of some of the noise, see where you are in your trading career in terms of mindset, in terms of performance. You can cross that line, and you can stay on that line. Okay, we're here to help each other do that. Right? That is why a lot of us have chosen to speak out in this industry, because we know how difficult it is. We are no magic gurus. There's no magic potion. All the color-coded bias charts and stuff is not a magic pill. Right? We still have to act on it, interpret it, right? But it is doable. So I just want to leave you with that thought tonight. Have a great, great Friday night. God bless you, and have a peaceful and restful weekend. Take care.